Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a Public Works podcast. My name is Joseph Blackman. Today, I got a real treat for you. His name is Marvin Joles, and he is the founder, CEO, the author, and the producer of the Blacktop Banter podcast. And Marvin's got a couple other things in his utility belt that we're going to talk about. But Marvin, say what's up to everybody.
Hey man, I appreciate you having me. It's been a minute since I joined a podcast, and it's always nice to be on this side of the camera and the microphone.
Dude, I will say, like when you and I connected, so we have a mutual acquaintance, Michael Wertheim. I
hmm
saw Michael at a show, which we'll talk about going to shows and all that stuff. But he said he was on a podcast, and it's kind of like when your ex-girlfriend's like dating somebody new. It's like whoa, 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 whoa. Like who's this new guy, right?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So he's like, yeah, it's the Blacktop Banter podcast, and so I leave his aisle and I go, who's this Blacktop Banter guy? So I find your shiny, your beautiful face,
Yep.
and I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. And yeah, we talked, we hit it off, and we got the same haircut.
Yeah.
And I knew that like I need to have you on the show because blacktop, I mean pavement, that's right up the alley of public works. I mean that's stuff that
Absolutely.
guys I'm with pretty much almost every other week they're out there dealing with stuff in the blacktop. So let's start off with I guess blacktop banter. I guess what it's about, and then also like the underlying I guess problem you're trying to solve with producing more content around blacktop banter.
Yeah, man. You know, I think you and I connect because we kind of both see the the issue of we have people that are in our industries that are exiting our industries, and they have all this knowledge, some great stories and experience that if we don't capture it and make a place for it on the internet, it'll be lost, right? Or the probability of it being lost is very, very high. And that's kind of where Blacktop Banner started. I mean, to be honest with you, I have two asphalt businesses, both in the asphalt maintenance side, but we do paving and whatnot too as well. And I would go read like Pavement Magazine and Allied Paving Magazine, and there'd be these cool stories in there. And I was fortunate enough to be asked to be in the magazine, in Pavement Magazine once. And at that point, I had been consuming content from the green industry, so lawn care and landscape, right? And there's these guys there that were making pieces of content for their businesses, and they were also kind of getting recognition from their industry for it. And I was like, this is totally what we need. Like it makes our industry look interesting, fun, exciting. It creates like documents about, their audio video documents. So I just started creating content on my business page about what we do, seal coating and whatnot. And I would go to these conferences. I had what I have first. I think I had a Sony flip cam first, right? And it
Yeah,
looked so stupid, dude. I had the legs that like you could mold around stuff, and I would
yeah.
like prop it up, and I did terrible. Like you can still go find them on the Wiscope YouTube channel.
Leave them
They're
up.
they're cringe-worthy videos, but I was the only one doing it, and I was doing it to make a difference. And it would be like me talking at different conferences with different people, kind of like with Mike, and that's how it got started, dude. And it literally came as that need was getting filled to document some of these stories and make our industry look cool and fun and entertaining. Like our mission statement here, right, is to make educational, entertaining content for our industry. Like that's what we
Yeah,
do. And
yeah,
we do it so that people have a community within the asphalt industry to interact back and forth, right? Something
yeah,
to look
yeah.
at, something that makes them feel like they're part of something because they are, but we don't want them to feel alone there.
Gosh, I love it. And I kind of want you to touch on because I think every business should have their own media branch, should have their own media end. And
Totally.
and do we need you to hire a 10-person video crew with lighting and sound and props and all that? No, but at least document what you do.
Yeah.
So tell the listeners and tell those who are on the fence or some of those who are maybe intimidated by video
Mhm.
or intimidated by being on camera how simple it is and how it can take your business to the next level just through visibility.
Yeah, man. When I first started with the magazines, like they would ask me to write articles about using social media and creating content because no one was doing it, right? And we're in a for my asphalt businesses, we're in a very rural area, southwest corner of Wisconsin, and everybody is on Facebook because our towns are so far apart. Everybody knows everybody. A lot of people are family around here. So it's the way for you to stay connected to everybody during the days. And I was creating Facebook videos about our business. I was showing people how our process from cleaning a pavement, crack sealing, seal coating, and then line striping, and then how we get material, what it looks like to fill your tank completely up so that people understood what we did. And it was super simple. I had no idea, no audio, video training, anything before. I just knew that I was kind of mimicking these guys within the green industry, and they were like, I was scared to put my face on camera at first. So I would talk, but I would be pointing at what we're doing. And then my guys were like, the guys in the green industry were like, dude, you're missing the whole point. Turn the camera around so that like people know you. They want to buy from people they know, like, and trust. They want to know you. And that really was the game changer for us, right? So it was really simple, really easy. There was a little bit of a curve there because everybody knows everybody and your reputation is everything in small town rural areas for your business. And I was the only one making content like this, like around here. I was really nervous when I turned the camera around for the first time and was just like, people are going to think I'm crazy, dude, because no one is doing this around here. But after like 2 weeks of complete anxiety and not wanting to come out of the house because I was worried of what people were going to say, I went to the grocery store and one of the ladies was like, "Oh, I really love your videos." And I was like, "Oh, cool. All right." So I made a little I made a this is on the Wisco channel too. This is I'll bust into that, but then you'll understand why Blacktop Banner came about. I made a program locally called Wisco Wednesday, and it would highlight me with a guest from a local business or organization or a person of interest locally, and then we would talk about whatever they did, and then we would post it to Facebook. I'd be able to tag them, and then they would share it. So all the people that was following them that didn't know me, then all of a sudden knew me, right? And vice versa. And it was a game changer, man, around here. That was a precursor for Blacktop Banter. After a while, I was like, okay, I'm starting to create content that has nothing to do with my business, my asphalt business. So Blacktop Banner had to come about going that route. And it was really easy, man. And I think that you and I spoke about this before. I think our industry was 10 years behind, if not more. And there's that curve there. There's a barrier there. Like there's a fear too of, I've never done it before. I don't know how to do it. Video seems complicated. It's totally not, man. All the apps and everything make it super easy nowadays. If you have a 5 or 6 or 7-year-old kid that can create a video on CapCut and post it, you can do it as a full-grown human adult. I believe that. And if they're not embarrassed to be showing what they're showing, you shouldn't be embarrassed to talk about what you do, your craft, and everything really well.
Gosh, I love the attitude. And one thing that stuck out when you're talking there, you had the realization, because super smart. Like I feel like if you're a realtor, if you're a chiropractor, like again, talking to people about what they do. Like what does Zig Ziglar say? He says, to be likable, you must first like. To be interesting, you must first be interested.
Bingo.
So I'm sure you weren't out there in a malicious way interviewing those persons of interest, but you just knew that like nobody else was putting them on camera. So let Marvin put them on camera, and then they can share with their people, and all of a sudden you get 5 more likes, 2 more followers, and over time that starts to compound. And I think a lot of people are, like you said, that anxiety of putting that video out, putting that picture out there. And I always, and again, like people come to me, they say, "Oh, I want to start a podcast." I'm like, "Well, start one." But they say, I don't know if people will like it. And I always tell them this. I say, okay, whether you're for Donald Trump or for Joe Biden, it doesn't matter. Half of the country voted for each one. Half. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? And how it was 20 million people in America. Just think 10 million people voted for that one person, and they hated the other person. So it's okay if, let's say your city's 8,000 people, 4,000 people do business with you. Like that's good enough to retire on for some
Oh yeah.
industries, or like half of your industry likes you and half of the industry doesn't like you. That's okay. If
Yeah.
your industry is wide enough and your product is viable enough. So don't be afraid to be disliked by some people, but you'd be surprised. Like, most people will appreciate you putting out
Yeah.
content in that industry. Like, if you educate and advocate, one thing it helped me out in regards to producing content was that there's associations out there. I'm sure you're part of associations. You make your rounds, you go to your conferences. Associations are to educate and advocate. If we can
Hmm.
do that for our industry, then there's no way we can lose. So what do you say to those who are like, oh man, like, I don't have the voice for it, I don't have the face for it, my business isn't big enough? Or what do you say to those on the fence to get out there and create?
Oh man, I think if you open up your phone and you scroll at all on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you're gonna find people who look a lot different than you. They sound a lot different than you. And I'm sure at some point they probably thought that same thought, right? At some point. But a lot of them are having very successful careers with it. It around here and in my industry, I guess, I was kind of the tip of the spear. And I was really nervous and had anxiety because no one had ever done it before. Now there's plenty of asphalt podcasts. Like, we have 3 or 4
Really?
creators here at Blacktop Banner that came here because we seen that they had podcasts in the industry. And I was the only one with a podcast at first. And now we're seeing lots of it. It became normalized, right? And same thing with the local, like for your business or whatever, even just to create awareness. Like, there's public works. I think public works departments should create content
Really?
regularly and put it out on a page so that the community understands what's
Yeah.
going on. Because a lot of times they're like, what's taking so long over here? Well, if you realize that we were installing something for a splash pad for the future, you probably would be a lot cooler with the fact that you have to take a 2 block detour. You know what I mean? To get around there.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you see
Yeah.
that it becomes normalized. When I first started doing the Wiscote Wednesday, of course, at first, because it was new, there was some apprehension, but I started seeing people share the videos in my community. And then when they really started to take off, because there was nothing like it around,
Yeah.
we got interest from other people, the local police department, some local coffee businesses, where they were like, hey, we would like to be on Wisco Wednesday. Like, we would like to be on there, and you can ask us about this and that. Like, okay, cool. We'll bring the coffee. Oh, cool. All right, yeah, that sounds good. So I think that that's the biggest thing is like it's more normal now than it was when I started, for sure, right?
Yeah.
The the fear that you have is more than likely unfounded. Like, there's people of all kinds about all types of topics that are speaking about all types of things, and even though like they put it out and they were scared, guess what happened? Their life went on. Like, it just become part of their business and part of their
Right.
brand. So I think that's the
Yeah.
big thing.
Love it, love it. And we always like to show how it's made. Like, you see the
Yeah,
show, they're making a chocolate truffle, right? They show
for
you drips this,
sure.
does it, puts a wrapper on it, puts it in the can. But, like, we like watching that. So why not create something like that for every business? All right, Marvin. So you said you get the guests on the show. Chris helps you get the invites out and do all that fun stuff. Once you actually get the show captured, you have the show recorded, then what's your process from getting that out to the people you need to get it to, just to get the most reach out of it?
Yeah, so the social media is an ever-changing thing. I try to keep up with it best I can. And what are the top platforms? We try like all the social media platforms out, and some of them they don't catch. Some are hot in our industry. Like, Instagram is like where our industry thrives in the asphalt world.
Really?
But then
Okay.
LinkedIn as well has been fire. Like, Facebook actually isn't our best one, and the groups are full on Facebook within the asphalt space. But honestly, most of our traction goes there. So Chris will put it out on all podcast streaming platforms, and then I'll take either a clip from the show or a photo or whatever, and I'll start putting that out on our social media platform so I can interact personally with everybody and
Yeah.
kind of make sure the conversation isn't like AI style. You know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it's personable still and that they're really communicating with us. So that's kind of how we do it, and we get the word out, and then um, we encourage people to share. We do giveaways, that type of stuff too here, just to kind
Okay.
of keep things flowing.
I like it. What's been your main? because again, you get a long form episode. The long form episode might be 45 minutes, right? You get the
Right.
video, you get the audio. Are you clipping it down in 10-second, YouTube shorts, Instagram shorts? Are you chopping it up into like, 90-second highlights? Like what kind of content would one person get from one piece of long form content?
Yeah. So Chris does a great job of setting in on everyone, and he'll place markers during our
Oh,
recording so that
I
he's like,
need that.
okay,
Yeah.
I want this. I want this. I want this for some interesting stuff. And then sometimes like while we're recording, I'll try to like capture his attention, like, I'm going to say something great. Like you might want to record this, or hey,
Get it, get it, get it.
this was fire. I want you to place a marker there. But we'll take those markers and then we'll cut those into short form. Chris uses a program to get some captions there and whatnot, and then we can usually pull. Depending on the conversation, it varies, but most of the time we can pull 4 or 5 pieces of really good nuggets out there, and then we'll spread those out over. We'll use them as a build up to when the podcast is released and during the podcast release, but then sometimes we'll save them for later too when like a really good nugget's there. We want to make sure that we extend the life of the content so that we can repurpose it and reuse it farther on
Yeah.
down the line too.
Yeah. Gosh, that's good. And all the listeners out there, if you heard what he said, you can literally take one show and have a month's worth of content from that
Mhm.
one show. Like, don't think that you got to do a weekly podcast. You can do one podcast a week or a month and just
Yeah.
have pieces from that podcast to drip out, which is beautiful. I love it. You talked about something a couple minutes ago, and I wanted to park on it a little bit. You talked about trade shows. I saw in your offering you do kind of a trade show demonstration video, like that's one part of your service.
Mhm.
I want to talk like what offering or what problem that solves or how that helps the customer out, and then also talk to us about just trade shows in general, like
Okay.
what to do at the trade shows if you're exhibiting or if you're just walking, like how to make the most of it. Like what are your hacks, tips, and tricks for trade shows?
Yeah, man. So we offer like a booth. To me, it's like a booth interview, but most of the time people are exhibiting at a trade show because they want to get the word out about what they have, whether it's a piece of equipment, whether it's their service or whatever. And what a great opportunity for us to be able to capture all these people who have that want and that need and that issue of trying to get their word out all in one spot where I can do an interview right there on the spot. I can ask them all these interesting things, being as I'm an asphalt contractor, about this piece of equipment or this software or whatever. And then we can film that, give that to them, right? They pay for that piece of content. But on the flip side, Blacktop Banners in 50 countries, 60,000 listens. We got 100,000 followers on Instagram, 50,000 on TikTok. You also might want us to post this piece of content too and
Yeah,
get word out to the
right.
asphalt industry. Like, yeah,
Dude.
you can use it and post it on your Instagram page with 500 followers, or you can post it to ours and there's 100,000 followers, right? So they get kind of double duty. Like they get a great piece of content that they can use and share and send out to somebody explaining this piece of equipment or whatever. And at the same time, if they want exposure, they can hire us, use our services to put it on our social media and whatnot, and go from there with that piece of content. So it really
I
does and as well as I do, some people, even though they're at a trade show and they're selling and they're talking, the video part of it might not be their niche. You know what I mean?
which is
So
weird, but yeah.
it is, yeah. Like they kind of need prompted on video and stuff to really
Yeah.
make it work out really well. But yeah, so we solved that issue for them there at the trade shows and at conferences and those types of things too.
So
Okay.
all right, so I want to dig a little deeper into it. I'm going to get more tactical. You don't have to give me the economics and the pricing and all that, but I want to know because I've noticed that when I offer to do that type of stuff for people at trade shows or for a trade show, like for the association, it can
Mhm.
kind of fall flat in the details. It kind of gets, it kind of breaks apart. But I've done it, and exhibitors like it because they get love. Like these
Yeah.
exhibitors, they get shoved to the side. Thanks for paying for everything, but no thanks. So when you shoot these episodes or shoot the little interview for somebody, you post on your socials, they get to post it on their socials. Does the association, like, do they play nice in the sandbox with that? Do they want that piece of content? Like, is there ever a time where they're like, hey, stop doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so we're fortunate enough, I think, to have good relationships with most of the conferences and stuff that we go to. Like they
Nice.
know, obviously we have a reputation here, and I think that they're like, I think that they want the vendors to want to be there. So the fact that we were offering this service that they get access to, which they
Yeah.
might not normally get access to, is appealing to the vendors, right? So the exhibitors. So I think that what kind of has been the general consensus is this is a good thing. Like, it makes people want to be here. It's something added that, the conferences by name, like it's an appealing thing to the exhibitors. Like, they're like, oh, and Blacktop Banner is going to be here. They might be able to
Cool.
do a booth interview with you or whatever, and they're like, oh, cool, it's another draw for them, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the play for
Okay.
anybody who's looking to do it, is like, hey, yes, I offer this service and the exhibitors love it. Here's some examples of it. I would love to be able to offer this to your exhibitors at the thing, if they, at the show, if they want to do something like that.
Yeah.
In a lot of times I'm like, hey, I'll do a promo one for you guys. Like, let's talk about
Mm,
the show. Let's talk about it
mm,
being here, right? And
yeah. Yeah.
then we walk around and we just develop those relationships. It's all relationship development.
Yeah.
I didn't do the asking part. Like, I'm a big Gary Vee fan, and his book
Jab,
Jab
jab, jab.
Jab Jab. I jabbed forever, dude. I felt like Muhammad Ali versus Foreman in the Thriller
Yeah.
Manila. I took the shots and I jabbed forever until
Yeah.
they got wore down, right? And
100%.
then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like, they started asking me. Like, I didn't have to make the ask. So I think that's kind of the general consensus of it, for that. But yeah, I can totally understand that, because some of these entities that own these shows and stuff, like, we film for NASCAR, thankfully, once in a while now,
Okay.
like, not for NASCAR, but at NASCAR events. And NASCAR is like, hey, anything you capture over here, that belongs to us. But anything that's in the pit where you're sponsoring a car, or they've asked you to be there or do whatever, that's yours, right? So
Ah,
there's a little bit of a boundary there sometimes,
yeah.
where they're like, okay, yes, do this. No, don't do that. But, I'm okay with playing with fire a little bit. I like to find
Yeah.
the, if they're unspoken, I gotta test with fire a little bit to find out where they are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen at trade shows where they don't allow any video. They don't allow any of that. But I literally walk through with my camera and talking up and they're doing everything, and nobody says anything. And and they're happy that I'm capturing footage from their event.
Yeah,
It
for
could
sure. Yeah.
potentially put a
A,
sign up
a,
there.
a little hack is, before the conference, if you're going to go, email them and ask for a press pass, right? And
Um,
then they're like, oh, okay. And I go on trade show floors before the show opens when there's no one there,
yeah,
and like, people are setting
yeah.
stuff up or whatever. Most of these places will have a press pass, and you can ask for it, or you might have to pay a little bit for it, but it's totally worth it for me, because I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, why are you filming? Like, I'm press. Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. So,
Love it, love it. All right, so let's take our press badge off for a second, and let's say we're exhibiting there, or we're just
mhm.
walking the show. What's Marvin's best practices to, like, let's get leads out of it, build relationships, start relationships? What do you do to kind of make sure that your time and money is well spent at a trade show?
Yeah. So when you go to trade shows, there's always an exhibit floor. Most of the time, there's seminars or classes or whatever. There's after party events, whatever there is, right? The number one thing that has been instrumental in us being able to build Blacktop Banner, advance my businesses, my asphalt businesses and whatnot, is networking. Like, to me, it's the whole reason I go to these things nowadays. I know every piece of equipment that's out there, right? And all the classes on how to seal coat, pave, crack fill, they're great, but I know how to do that stuff, right? So, we will take on some of them, especially some of the newer conferences have newer technology classes. There's kids that are 20 years old teaching people how to make videos and how to post social media and do marketing and whatnot, right? So I really enjoy taking those on, but the networking is my main thing. So if you and I are walking the floor, most of the time I've done my homework beforehand and I know who's exhibiting, and I'm like, okay, here's my top 10 that I want to hit. This is who I want to talk to. They're going to be at this show. I want to talk to this person to make that connection, let them know what I do, and let them know that maybe we can work together. Right. And then there's some where I just want to, like, meet the contractor too that's there, because I want to develop a relationship with them. They have a great story, right? Like, they're the biggest paving company in Charlotte, and it's a family business, and it was bankrupt at one point, and then they came back and they have a great story. I'm like, I want to know that. I want to get to know that person so that if I run into any issues, they're in my Rolodex, which doesn't exist nowadays, and I can use them as a resource, right? So that's my big main thing. Like if I'm at a trade show, the number one most valuable thing there doesn't cost any money. That's getting in touch with people, shaking hands, making connections, and then using those connections later on as because they're valuable. Some of the best friends I have started out with me looking at a piece of their equipment on the show, and now we on the show floor, and now we talk about everything, right? And family, and we
Yeah.
go to different events and things together. So there's a lot of value in networking.
Sure. I love it. I love it. It's you can't refute the power of being able to go up to somebody saying, "Hey, here's what do you do?" and then also telling them what you do and seeing if there's some synergy there. Like that's
Yeah,
that's how the West was won, you know.
dude, our mutual friend Mike, Mike Wertheim. I'll tell you this story real quick. We were at an open house in here in Wisconsin at a seal coat manufacturer, and he was demoing Aquafall. And he had a
Alcohol,
pair of leather wingtip shoes on, khaki pants, and he's pouring
standard, like
patch into a puddle, packing it. And I recorded the video, posted it to TikTok, 2 million views. Boom, like that. Just because here's this guy all done up in his sales suit,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Packing patch in. I see him. So in the comment section on that video, people start calling him Jake from State Farm. Pat is packing these holes, right? Because he's wearing khakis, had a red
yeah,
shirt on, dude. It's hilarious. We get to National Pavement Expo, the only second time I seen him, and I'm walking by and I'm like, Jake from State Farm. He said, Marvin from Banner, right? Like, dude, like we already had this mutual connection where we hit off because we had
yeah,
been
yeah,
communicating with each other. And fast forward, Aquavolt's one of the featured sponsors here at
yeah,
Blacktop Banner. So that relationship developed into
yeah,
something that's advantageous for them and advantageous for us. And it was
yeah,
awesome networking, man, becoming friends
yeah.
and hanging out.
And then also because you weren't timid or scared to pull out your camera and get a clip of content and
For
post it,
sure.
right? How
For
many of us
sure.
have a phone with us everywhere we go, but we won't rip it out and just film something such? Like people love when a debris body opens up and you get that big whoosh, just,
Oh
look
yeah.
at water coming out. Just film it and post it on TikTok. Like people
Yeah.
love looking at that stuff.
Yeah. How many TikTok channels do you see where they do one thing, right? Like somebody's like, there's one where it's a like a I don't know 20-ton press. They put something in it, it
Oh
goes
yeah, yeah.
and mashes it.
And
Like that's the
everything.
only video that they post is something getting smashed all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Crazy views, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. It's like yeah,
stuff's more interesting than what you think. Pull your phone out.
totally.
Watch some videos, man.
Totally. Like I probably watched too many mukbang videos. Like
Yeah.
you know that like,
Yeah. Where
I
they,
feel
they slap
guilty.
the
I'm like
squid before they eat it. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
stupid, but I get it. All right, so let's dig into a little bit about in the brain behind Marvin here. Let's talk about your personal and professional development regimen. What do you do to keep showing up sharper and sharper month after month, year after year in the industry?
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest with you. This year is probably the first year that I've noticed that it's getting harder and harder to stay sharp, right? And stay healthy. So last
Not
year,
this year.
yeah, this year was it, man. Last year, uh I was at an event. I was fortunate enough to speak at Heinz Field, which isn't Heinz Field anymore, in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers play. And somebody
Yeah.
took a picture of me with my friend, and it was the first time that I'd kind of looked, and I was like, "Dang, dude, if you don't get in shape, you're probably going to be out of shape forever for the rest of your life."
Mhm.
So really, it was harder to get up, like harder to do these things that passion had motivated me to do, right? Because now this is my normal routine. So I try to at least get out and exercise, whether it's walking or running every morning for some type, right? I really enjoy getting out and getting fresh air right away in the morning. I love seeing the sun come up if I can make that happen too. So that's usually my time zone where I try to be there. I do try to read. I don't do it as often as I wish I could. I try to stick to like 10 pages a day. The winter time, I have plenty of time to do this stuff. In the summer, we're up early on the job sites and get going and get moving. But that's a lot of what I do. I try to control my atmosphere the best I can so that um, there's always a culture of success, of motivation and whatnot around me most of the time. Because to be honest with you, at heart, I'm lazy, bro. I want to be playing Call of Duty. I want to be playing Gran Turismo. Like I
You
want
be
to
on the
be eating
couch,
ramen
basically.
noodles. Like at heart, like that's what I want to do. Like people are like, you want to play football? I'm like, yeah. I'll be the Cowboys. You be whoever. I'll fire Madden up. Let's do this. No, no, no. Like I actually play football, right? So, Chris tries to get me to go to soccer every Tuesday, and I have a new excuse every week. But you know, that's really what I try to do. To be honest with you, as I alluded to, this year I've noticed that it's harder. So I've been very meticulous lately about supplements and my regimen and that type of stuff. I have a young guy, Eli, my son. He plays football. He's 12 and a half. He was out in the field working with us this year in the business a little bit. And he's getting bigger. He's harder to keep up with. So I have to be healthier in order to meet him in some common ground. Like he'll come at me sometimes. Yeah, I'm serious, Joe. He'll come at me and be like, "Hey, you
12,
want?
yeah.
Hey, you want to wrestle a little bit? You want to do this?" And like, I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna have to be in shape, or he's gonna get me."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so,
Wow. That's cool.
that's kind of my thing. You know, I enjoy healthy conversation with Chris. Here, him and I talk about a lot of high level stuff. Um, you know, and that really helps keep my mind clear, but also keeps me accountable because Chris is a high, you know, he performs at a high level. Therefore, I feel like I need to perform at a high level too, as well. So that accountability is a big thing, and it's a big thing that keeps me going.
Sure, sure. How does Marvin turn it off? How do you get away from it? How do you proverbially let your hair down?
I'm awful at it, dude. If you ask anybody around here, I don't turn it off. You know, Chris, when he came here and started working, and Kyla, who does our admin stuff, they know at any time I'm gonna text them. Like I'll be laying in bed sometimes, dude. Like I'll try to go to bed at like 10 o'clock, and I try to get up at 5, but it doesn't always work. And then sometimes I will fall asleep, and I'll wake up with a thought and text Chris at like midnight, right? And I know he's not gonna see it to the morning, but I can't let that thought get buried. I have to get it out. So the best way for me to like get some kind of clarity is to set a time in my schedule where I'm going to go on vacation, or like I treat it almost like a meeting or like a spot in my schedule, right? And I'm like, okay, you can't do any of that stuff. You have to do this. And whether it's going on vacation over the weekend or spending time with the kids, that's my best way for me to shut it off, is to probably prioritize the stuff that's more important that I know is time sensitive. I'm only gonna have so much time with my kids and whatnot. And I'm only gonna be able to do so many family vacation stuff. That's my best way to shut it off. But it's very, very difficult for me to shut down.
Sure, sure. Let's say we ask your wife's best friend, what does Marvin do? Like, what value does he add to society? What would she get totally wrong in answering that question?
Oh, okay, man. All right, right. Let me think about it. My wife's best friend. She asked what would Marvin do. She would probably say work, right? She'd be like, yeah, he works like all the time, right? But I think what a lot of people don't see is the little things that we do too. We get plenty of accolades for helping out with local projects and donating to fundraisers, and I sat on some local nonprofit boards and that type of stuff. Um, I think that that's probably what people overlook quite a
Mm,
bit, is the fact that I do work a lot, and even when it looks like we're working, we're trying to make a difference too, right? At the
yeah,
same time. So I think that would probably be what they would get wrong.
sure, sure. I always like to leave a space on the show for you to thank mentors that you had along your journey,
For
and then
sure.
also give a word of inspiration and motivation, let's say to your fellow blacktop operators out there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think the best mentors I've had probably don't know that they were my mentors, right? I came from, um, I was my grandmother raised me. My parents were very young when they had me, so they weren't able to take care of me. So my grandmother got me, and we came from impoverished family and home life growing up as a kid. But I had plenty of woods behind me, dude, and I would go out and just imagine wild these wild things, like I was one of the Ninja Turtles, or I was this or whatever. So I was creating all this stuff when I was really young. And two doors down was my cousin. He lived there. His father owned a roofing business. When I was 12 years old, they rolled by. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to work?" I was like, "Sure." So I don't know what the heck was going on. I spent all day, like 8 hours, picking up shingles off of the ground and putting them into a dumpster, right? And I get done, and he's like, "Here you go," and hands me $20 for 8 hours of shingle debris lifting, right? It was
It's
the
almost
most
CPS. Yeah.
money. It was the most money I had ever seen. Like it
Yeah.
was the most money I'd ever seen. From then on, I asked a lot of questions, which hence probably why I'm the podcast host, right, of Blacktop Banner. But he really was a mentor on putting family first, prioritizing that, um, business wise as well. He taught me a lot about dealing with clients and deliverables and integrity, and how all those things hinge on your success, right? You can't have no integrity but work hard. Like it doesn't, that people don't care about that, right? They want to make sure that you're the full package when it comes to business. And I think that, if I could offer a piece of advice, especially in my industry, is be a little more open to that. One of my big mentors, which hopefully one day I'll get to tell him, is Gary V. I spent Like I said, I'm not too tech savvy. I didn't know all this stuff. I spent a good 6 months consuming Gary Vee content
Yeah.
all the time. And then realizing the message of, hey, man, if you want to succeed, you're going to have to do some social media marketing. You're going to have to come out of your
Yeah.
shell. And I have one more mentor in the green industry. His name's Keith Kalfas. And he didn't really like mentor me and keep an eye on me, make sure I made all the right moves. But I would come to him with a question, and he would give me a straightforward answer. And he only had to do it 10 or 12 times, but it was what I needed to hear in order to change my trajectory and change kind of my comfort level, because I was very uncomfortable being uncomfortable, right? I wanted to be in a zone of comfort, and I wasn't able to grow inside that zone. So it kind of forced me out there. Hey, if you want this, you have to do this, kid. And I think, for me, for blacktop guys, asphalt industry, construction space, that would be my piece of advice too. Is like, you want this stuff, you want success, you want this. You have to be open and humble enough to be like, I don't know how to do this. I need to know how to do this. So I got to let go of the fear of the unknown and make that happen. And the only way you can do that, man, is like we do: meet
Yeah.
people, ask questions, get to know them, and get some guidance. It's okay to be 40 years old, 50 years old, and have to ask a 20-year-old for
Yeah.
mentorship in something
Oh,
that has
love it.
just been developed,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
we have to get over that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to know at 50 years old how to do something that is only 3 years old, right? You're not going to
Right.
know how to do
Yeah.
that, but these kids do know how to do it. They're doing it every day. And I think that that's a big step. And that's my piece of advice, probably, is like, just, you have to get uncomfortable to succeed. You do.
Sure. Sure. Let's say you get commissioned to put a commercial in the Super Bowl next year.
Okay.
What, like, let's say for blacktop banter or for the blacktop industry in globally, what I guess message would you want to propagate or promote, and what ask of the industry would you want to put on there?
Ooh, that's a good one. Man, you got the good questions, bro. I don't ever ask anything like this. Um, that's a good one. I think the biggest thing that I think plagues us right now is division. Like, everywhere you look, it feels like we're divided, man. But and I know that if you sit down and have a conversation with somebody that you think is a certain way, by the time you get done having that conversation, you realize you guys are a lot alike, whether you're male, female, where
Yeah.
you come from, your name, anything. We're all a lot more alike, and we all pretty much want the same thing. Like the basic stuff, we all want that. We all want to be happy, right? So that would probably be the biggest thing that I would try to get out. Whether it's guys, I would think about the commercial. I would think about a female roller operator, right? And then you got this older guy driving the dump truck, and then you have a young guy, right, that's shoveling asphalt and whatnot. And then you have the people sitting in traffic in their cars. One guy's got a suit on, and then you would then show the second scene, and you would show them going home to their houses, right? It'd all be in there, all in their houses, opening their doors, all to their kids, right? They all got different kids, and they're all in different parts, and they all are dealing with the same stuff. We're all the same, dealing with the same issues. We're trying to do the same thing. We're on a rock hurling through space by some chance, by crazy odds. We know that we exist, right?
Yeah.
Which is preposterous anyways. I think that the stuff that we're letting divide us is so small picture versus big picture stuff, right? We should be spending a lot more time enjoying the gift of life with each other. And we're all a lot more alike than we know. We should be able to do that better, I would think.
Love it, dude. That's good stuff, man. All right. Where can our listeners find more about Blacktop Banter and then also your asphalt businesses?
Yeah, man, for sure. So Blacktop Banter is in podcast form anywhere where you listen to podcasts. You can find us on YouTube as well. Type in Blacktop Banter, you'll find that. You type in Blacktop Banter in Google, you're gonna find a lot of content, plenty enough for you. You'll probably go on a Gary V binge like I did maybe for 6 months, and I still don't think you'd finish it. We do a good job of putting out content, but at our website, we have a success group, which is a coaching group for a mastermind group, really, for entrepreneurs that are in the asphalt space that are getting started and getting going. We want to give them a foundation for success. So if you join that group, there's a Blacktop Banner community page on Facebook too as well. On the social media side, the fun stuff, Instagram, TikTok. You can find me personally on LinkedIn and on Facebook. We really enjoy making fun memes and highlighting cool clips from our industry. So, you know, if you want to be entertained we can do that pretty much at Blacktop Banner 2 as well on social media. So you can find us there. You'll be able to find me at a lot of conferences this winter. Anything asphalt oriented, chances are I'm going to be there at that conference. My businesses are Wiscote Asphalt Maintenance and Dubuque Asphalt Maintenance. One's southwest corner, Wisconsin. One's in Dubuque, Iowa, obviously. And you can find information on them. You type them in Google. You can find the websites and whatnot there. So we try to do a lot, man. We got a small time frame, my friend. So we're trying to do a lot in the asphalt space.
It. Love the intensity behind it. Well, Marvin, thank you for hopping on the show. To all the listeners out there, make sure you share this with somebody who you think want to hear it. Marvin, any final words before we get out of here?
Not much, man. I'm looking forward to us meeting here sometime soon.
Sure.
I got to try to get out there and go to a conference. I really appreciate what you're doing. And you know, making our industry fun, I think, is the key to keep the employment issue solved. These types of conversations, people realizing you don't always have to wear a hard hat and get your hands dirty in order to have a space in the construction world is important, super important. I appreciate you doing that with your podcast too, my friend.
Good stuff. All right, Marvin. Well, this has been the Public Works Podcast, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in.